In focus, David Carlucci, former Democratic New York State Senator, and Cassie Smedley, former Executive Director for the America Rising PAC. David, I'm going to start with you. Late to the party, but he's on. I understand the president's team, his campaign team, is reportedly still relatively small. What do you make of it?
Well, I think now with the debate happening and the president talking about spending $25 million, really a record this early in the campaign, it's going to juxtapose the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. And what I'm going to look for at this debate stage is, look, the Republican candidates are trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want to beat Donald Trump, but they don't want to talk negatively about him or his policies. I think that's a losing strategy. And then you've got Donald Trump, who's running this Rose Garden strategy of not debating. But that really only works when you're the incumbent and you've proven to beat the person that you're going to be running against in November. So that's a real problem on all sides for the Republicans. But the other issue is, how are they going to talk? Are they going to talk to Americans, or are they going to talk Washington talk? Washington talk is all about Hunter Biden, conspiracy theories. The issue that's important to Americans is those bread and butter, kitchen table topics. So I'll be looking to see who talks about that.
All right, let's give Cassie Smedley a chance to address that and more. Cassie.
Yeah, well, this is the first debate. It's the chance for most of them to make a first impression to a national audience. And you're going to have a lot of people tuning in, not just Republicans, but namely independents or Democrats who regret their vote for Joe Biden, who are in desperate need of another option. Things are not going well. Every time Biden says Bidenomics, it reminds people that the country is in the wrong direction and our money is not going far enough. And so there's going to be a lot of people tuning into this debate to hear the alternative solutions, or to hear what happens when you have a Republican in the White House. Wasn't that long ago that we remember things were pretty good. Gas was pretty cheap. We could afford our groceries and even get a vacation on the calendar. And that's not the case right now for so many Americans. And Joe Biden is the reason why.
Cassie, I'm going to stay with you for just a second. Des Moines Register poll out this morning, because we were just talking previously, David, you had mentioned where some of the candidates fall, and I did as well. It's showing that Ron DeSantis is still the clear alternative to Donald Trump in Iowa. And according to an expert pollster, in Iowa, closer than it may seem. Look, we saw a lot of encroachment. We saw Vivek Ramaswamy moving up. Particularly in Iowa is a place where you would see Tim Scott move up, so on and so forth. What do you make of where the PAC stands going into the debate?
Well, I think this is, again, another sign of people starting to pay attention. I also heard a lot about that in Iowa, that things were much closer than the national headlines might have you believe. But the real reason here that you're starting to see people shift and move into different positions is because, again, people are looking for an alternative to what we have in the White House right now. They haven't necessarily made up their minds because they've been getting kids back to school and they've been getting those last-minute summer camps and all of that wrapped up. And now they're tuning in. But it's at the forefront of their mind how difficult this economy has been for each of us to get out and live our lives. But I do see some real opportunity, not just for DeSantis, but for everyone on the stage to even encroach on Trump's numbers, because they're about to have tens of millions of eyes on them, many of them for the very first time.
All right, you mentioned Trump again. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board is weighed in on former President Trump potentially ducking the debate. Here's a quote. Trump clearly thinks he has the nomination all but wrapped up, and judging by the current polls, he has reason to think so. But what a message he is sending about the loyalty he thinks GOP voters owe him. Republican voters often say they like that Mr. Trump is a fighter. But for whom is he fighting, them or himself? Your thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is a real problem for Donald Trump. He really made a name for himself in the debates in 2016, and now he's falling on complacency. He's afraid that he's going to be challenged. He's stepping down from the debate. And I think that's when you see politicians really at their weakest point, when they think they're so popular that they don't have to go to the rubber chicken dinners. They don't have to shake everyone's hand. They don't have to court the voters like they did. And this is where you see a politician peak, and then they start to come down. So I think it's a real miscalculation for Donald Trump not to show up. Of course, the Rose Garden strategy is a strategy every politician wants to do because it's easy. But you got to do the real hard work, particularly when you lost to the incumbent president.
I would step in. He's missed debates before. I would also say, I mean, when you're north of 50%, his argument has been and still continues to be, it's his party. Last little word from you, Cassie, and we'll move.
Yeah, there's no question about his popularity. You saw when he showed up to the Iowa State Fair, he was the talk of the town. But I do think generally the American people deserve to see all of the candidates who qualify for the debate stage and hope that that will include Donald Trump because, as you mentioned, he's good on a debate stage. So why not?
Well, and it's Joe Biden who needs the reps at this point. So if he sets the standard and Joe Biden has to step up, and it does end up being the two of them as the nominees, that'll make it even more fascinating. One will be ready and one won't be ready. All right. Good to see you. Thank you.